On today's Business Matters, China is buying up mines around the world. This activity is at its highest level in over a decade in a race to secure raw materials. The country is the world's largest consumer of most minerals and has a huge demand for raw materials. 10 of its mines deals last year were worth $100 million, and Chinese groups have continued making huge mining deals into this year. Analysts and investors say China is trying to get ahead of countries that disfavor it. Investments backed by or connected with the Chinese regime have become less and less welcome in the US and Canada. Even though China dominates critical minerals processing, it gets much of its raw materials from other countries and has sought to strategically squeeze Western countries out of those deals. And if you're driving a Subaru, you're driving the most reliable brand of automobile. That's based on Consumer Reports' annual reliability survey. The publication scores cars based on subscriber feedback and vehicle data. Out of 100, Subaru took the top spot with 68, followed by Lexus and Toyota. All three ranked above average. Consumer Reports believe Subaru's small line of vehicles with shared components contributes to its strong reliability rating. Subaru produces only 9 models in the US compared to more than 20 from Toyota. Toyota's score was dragged down by low scores from its pickup trucks. A discount duel is set at the stroke of midnight. 2 of the biggest names in retail will square off in their annual sales events. Amazon has moved the start of its annual Prime Day event to tomorrow, July 8th. It's the same start date as Walmart deals. Based on data from eMarketer, Amazon has long been the largest e-commerce operator in the US with more than 40% of online sales. But for Walmart, who's the world's largest retailer, its e-commerce sales are going by more than 20% a year. Before people were shedding pounds with Ozempic, there was SlimFast. The founder of the popular meal replacement shakes, S. Daniel Abraham, has died at the age of 100. After the New York native served in World War II, he bought an anti-itch cream company with his father and brother-in-law and became a traveling salesman. In the 1970s, he introduced SlimFast powder, which became a meal substitute for millions of weight-conscious Americans. Abraham sold his company to Unilever in 2000 for more than $2 billion. During his lifetime, he also co-founded the S. Daniel Abraham Center for Middle East Peace and was a major donor to the Democratic Party. Modern businesses are capitalizing on a Depression-era policy to fend off tariffs, at least temporarily. They're turning to sites within the U.S. that the Commerce Department has designated as foreign trade zones. Here's more.
Since the U.S. announced sweeping tariffs in April, companies are finding new, and some very old, ways to navigate tariffs. One strategy is a Depression-era policy from more than 90 years ago. Companies can import goods to designated zones in the U.S. where importers pay tariffs only when they sell their products to American customers. Or if they end up exporting the items, they don't have to pay tariffs at all. This is through foreign trade zones, or FTZs. There are nearly 400 across the U.S. A logistics firm that helps companies set up and operate in FTZs says interest in these sites has quadrupled since April. Experts explain that FTZs are not a loophole, but a way for businesses to maintain cash flow. To set up in an FTZ, businesses need a grantee, which acts as an intermediary with the Commerce Department. Grantees are often cities, ports, or airports. The city of Phoenix, for example, has been a grantee since 1988. One study found increased employment and wage growth for grantees. It says that the average salary in Phoenix rose from $30,000 10 years ago to over $84,000 today. But there are also disadvantages to FTZs. For example, when companies manufacture goods made from imported steel, which currently has a high tariff, the companies pay the tariff rate of the steel, not the finished product.
First, there was concern that AI could replace you. Now it can fire you. A growing number of employers are giving AI the final say on who gets the axe. 6 out of 10 managers told ResumeBuilder.com that they have consulted a large language model for major HR decisions. In the survey, 66% said they have turned to a chatbot to make decisions about layoffs, and 64% for terminations. Nearly 1 in 5 managers reported giving large language models the final say with no human input. Managers are also using AI for raises and promotions as well. Nearly 80% said they have consulted AI on those decisions. Sputtering sales for British luxury car maker Jaguar and Land Rover. This was reported by its Indian parent Tata Motors. Sales in North America, one of its biggest growth markets, dropped 12% in the first quarter. With new U.S. tariffs in place, JLR put an import pause on its British-made cars. At the same time, the car maker saw a steep sales decline with its Jaguar brand. This is part of years-long phase-out of models as it transitions to a fully electric brand next year. And over to energy, OPEC says it is ramping up oil production. It said Saturday it would increase output by nearly 550,000 barrels per day in August. OPEC Plus countries produce roughly half of the planet's oil. It has been holding back output since 2022 to prop up the market, but the group has changed course this year in an effort to gain back market share. This after calls from President Trump to ramp up production to lower gasoline prices. The increase for August is a further boost from the monthly increases of over 400,000 barrels per day that the group approved for May, June, and July. The organization also approved a nearly 140,000 barrel jump for April. From national and global headlines to events in your day-to-day life, the world can appear chaotic, which can make financial planning increasingly difficult. Here are ways to manage your feelings while managing your money as well.
From conflicts to economic uncertainty and more, it can seem like the world is piling on top of our own concerns and considerations we face when making big financial decisions.
Money is something that we deal with 24/7.
Financial planner and financial therapist Rick Kaler says it's important to remember you can't control what's happening in the outside world, only your response to it.
90% of all financial decisions are made emotionally.
And when your anxiety seems to be in overdrive, consider how that may consciously and subconsciously influence your decisions. Kaler suggests trying to understand the stories, experiences, and traumas of your life, even if they have nothing to do with money.
All of this comes into play with every financial decision that we make. And the more stressed we are, the more triggered we are, the higher the chance of a poor financial decision playing out.
So whether it's a house, career change, growing your family, or something else, Kaler says be clear on what emotions may be at play.
When I can recognize, wow, I feel a lot of fear right now, maybe it's fear about what's going on in the world, that's a good time to take a pause if I'm looking at making a financial decision, even as small as buying the latte, and assess what is really going on.
Trump Media and Technology Group launched its TV streaming platform Truth Plus globally today. It features the cable channel Newsmax. Newsmax went public in March, which also allows it to increase its presence outside the United States. Trump Media says users can now access streaming channels and on-demand video through Truth Plus apps on iOS, Android, web, and connected TV platforms. The company operates the social media platform Truth Social and began beta testing the global rollout of Truth Plus in late June. Trump Media says it will continue to beta test and collect feedback as the rollout progresses. A new survey shows most Americans watch streaming services and far fewer subscribe to cable or satellite. The Pew Research study found 83% tune into streaming services, with Netflix and Amazon Prime Video leading the way. Researchers found only 36% currently use cable or satellite. The study also says streaming use varies by age and income. 9 out of 10 people under 50 are watching programming on streaming services, while Americans 65 and older say they're most likely to subscribe to cable or satellite. Adults with higher incomes also prefer streaming, while lower-income Americans often use cable. About a third of all Americans do both. Apple is challenging a $587 million EU antitrust fine in court. The EU sanctioned Apple for violating landmark rules aimed at curbing the power of big tech. Here's more.
Regulators found in April that the iPhone maker had breached the Digital Markets Act, as its restrictions prevent app developers from steering users to cheaper deals outside the App Store. Apple said on Monday that the European Commission's decision goes, quote, far beyond what the law requires. It added that regulators are forcing business terms which are confusing for developers and bad for users. Last month, Apple overhauled its App Store rules to comply with the EU order to scrap certain curbs on app developers. That was to avoid daily fines of 5% of its average daily revenue, or over $58 million a day. The EU competition watchdog is seeking feedback from app developers before deciding whether to accept the changes or demand more.
Michael Douglas may never act again. The two-time Oscar winner who starred in classic movies like Wall Street and Fatal Attraction says he would return to the big screen only if, quote, something special came up. The 80-year-old told reporters at a film festival Sunday that he hasn't worked since 2022 after realizing he had to stop. After working hard for almost 60 years, Douglas said he's been happy with taking time off and supporting the career of his wife, actress Catherine Zeta-Jones. Douglas stopped short of saying he's retiring, but says he doesn't intend to return to acting. Jurassic World Rebirth dominated the 4th of July weekend box office, earning $147 million domestically over 5 days. The move surpassed expectations and nearly matched the box office of the 2022 release of Jurassic World Dominion. The film is the 4th in the Jurassic World series and the 7th in the franchise that began in 1993 with Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park. The film's success is credited in part to fresh branding and the casting of Scarlett Johansson. Jurassic World Rebirth knocked the popular F1 movie into second place. Both movies will likely face fierce competition with the upcoming release of Superman, predicted to bring in over $100 million on release. The summer box office numbers this year are up 15% compared to 2024, signaling a strong rebound for Hollywood. And U.S. markets fell today after President Trump announced new 25% tariffs on Japan, South Korea, and several other countries, and this triggering investor concern. Tesla shares also slid after Elon Musk announced the creation of a new America Party, intensifying his political rift with President Trump. Investors are also watching for Fed signals in upcoming meeting minutes and are weighing the impact of Trump's newly passed tax and spending bill. And that's it for today's Business Matters.